Thank you very, very much. And let me just say on the front end, Larry, congratulations to you and obviously each of your staff. We have enjoyed a wonderful partnership together over the years, and it is great to be here with you this morning. I know my time is very, very short. I see a clock in front of me, which is actually makes it real nice. It's counting it all down for me. But Georgia is expected to grow by 4.5 million people in less than 15 years. I want you to stop and think for just a moment. 4.5 million people is the size of South Carolina coming on top of Georgia. Now, if they're all Clemson Tiger fans, we're going to turn them back, okay? But the beauty about being governor is you have the opportunity to shape and plan for what that growth is going to look like. I think all of us witnessed when the I-85 bridge collapsed what took place. It demonstrated to us two things. One is our infrastructure is built for about half the size of the population that we are today. Secondly, it demonstrated when government gets out of the way and you incentivize the private sector to do what it does best, you can build a bridge back in 45 days. And that's exactly what we did, absolutely. And so certainly we have to be committed to building the infrastructure of tomorrow. We have to be committed to making sure that we're looking at a 10-year strategic plan and being willing to do things very creatively. And that means that we have to look at a tunnel going under or going over with elevated road systems, along with utilizing our existing infrastructure in a more efficient way, allowing for reversible lanes to exist to get people into the city where they need, but also out. And along with that, we have to be committed as well to building out broadband. Today in our state, you can do business anywhere in the world from any corner of this state if you have connectivity to that superhighway. And I will tell you, building out that broadband system is a high priority for me as your next governor as well. But I also want to touch on an important piece. When we look at Georgia and we see so much economic prosperity, there are communities that are losing population. And in shaping where that growth needs to be, we need a governor and someone who something that I will be committed to is ensuring that we are bringing more economic opportunities to our rural communities to give them the opportunity where they can have the types of jobs that they need that are going to lift them up. And with that, we have to be committed to really my second point, and that is building a world-class workforce that is second to none. For all of you that have followed my career, you know that this is an area that I have been very passionate about. When I became Lieutenant Governor in 2007, I created the College and Career Academy Network across the state, where kids now have the ability at high school to explore the different career pathways available to them, get either the industry certification or be able to get the 2-year degree while still in high school. What we have demonstrated through this process is that not only have we increased graduation rates, but we have doubled incomes for high school students coming out of school. You see, this is a value proposition. And what we've also discovered is we now have kids fighting to get into school versus fighting to get out. That's the environment that we want. We want an educational system that is aligned with industry needs. Because in your communities all across the state, if you have a pipeline of workers that are coming out of those high schools that are meeting the needs of existing industries, then those industries will grow and be prosperous. Along with that, it will be a beacon for so many other businesses to say, this is the community that I want to be in. And in these college and career academies, they truly are economic engines for the community. And I can cite so many examples where companies have located and they have specifically said, we are here because of this college and career academy. As governor, I have a 2020 plan that will have every student access to a college and career academy across the state. But we can't just stop there. We have to continue to focus on the other initiative, the German apprenticeship program. That's a 3-year high school program for students to gain the skills that they need, where industry will have the workforce by which they need. But we also have to be committed to ensuring in our rural communities that we have innovation hubs and partnerships with our post-secondary institutions. You see, I don't believe that you have to be in Atlanta to do business in Atlanta. And we also have to be committed to putting work first, not government first. Making sure that we are giving kids and adult learners the ability to be retrained to get back into the workforce, where we are focused on a program that I'm putting in place, which is Project 50. Right now, our median income is roughly about $34,000 a year. I believe we can get to $50,000 a year. We have the assets, we have the tools, and I want you to know that I'm going to be a great partner for you at the local level, making sure that the state is bringing our resources to bear to ensure that we're doing all that we can every single day to where we have greater economic prosperity and no one is left behind. It is an honor and a joy to be with you today. Thank you for all the support that you have given me over the years, and I look forward to taking some questions and then having a closing comment.
Thank you for those comments. Mr. Bluestein, your first question.
Yeah, Governor Nathan Deal's decision to give state law enforcement officers 20% pay raises has set off some criticism from local police who want similar raises. Should the state chip in for those pay hikes for local officers? And what would you do to bring more parity to police pay?
Well, as you know, first of all, law enforcement is extremely important to all of us. They're the ones that put on the uniform and the badge every day to keep us safe. And as a result of that, there's no real way that you can fully compensate someone who is willing to put their life on the line each and every day. But at the state level, we stepped up and did something very strong. As a result of that, there has been really disparity that has occurred, particularly at the local level with the county, but also with the city. And I put together a task force, a COP task force as we call it, that really is focused on how do we ensure that we are focused at the local level. Cities and counties were represented in that task force. And as a result, what we came up with is we said we need to focus at the local level in looking at what that pay scale needs to look like. But also we recognize that some communities do not have a tax base that can generate enough in order to pay an adequate wage. And as a result of that, very similar to what we do in education with equalization, I believe the state can and should play a role in that. And so the task force is going to be recommending taking $7 million through a grant process that cities and counties can apply for that will help them ensure that adequate salaries are paid to those individuals that keep each of us safe in our communities.
Thank you. We appreciate that. Your next question?
Yeah, there seems to be a growing sense among Democrats and Republicans in the legislature that it's time to commit more dedicated state funding each year to MARTA and mass transit. As governor, what would you do to fund transit, rail, and the technological investments needed to run a smart transportation grid among cities across the state?
Well, as I think each of us know, that the transit system that we call MARTA is a huge asset to our state. And I would submit to you that we probably would not have won the Olympics had we not had MARTA. And when you look at all of the major economic development announcements that have been, that we have received, all of them have put a prerequisite to be on MARTA because they understand the value. And so, yes, we have to expand. We have to focus our efforts to ensure that we are allowing this great asset to add value to individual lives. And it's not to say that there's not value, but I can tell you, imagine what could happen if we transformed and began to look in a regional context with MARTA. And we said that we're going to have a rebranding, we're going to have a new governance structure, and we're going to bring communities together and look at what those communities and those citizens are looking for. The ability to get on your app, pull up, and know that when the train's going to leave, but also when it's going to arrive, but also being able to reserve your seat, being able to have a Starbucks coffee waiting on you, and a timely manner that's not stopping every 5 seconds. You see, that is a value proposition that individuals will consume. And as government, we need to look, just like my 30-plus years in private sector, we need to look at the value proposition. What are we giving to our citizens? So yes, I'm going to be committed to ensuring that we build a consensus, but the first thing that has to be done is we need to determine as a region where the expansion needs to occur, and more importantly, what is the service by which we're going to offer. And I will be a governor that will lead that effort.
Thank you for those comments. You now have 2 minutes to give us your closing statement.
Well, thank you very much. Again, I have enjoyed being with you. I have enjoyed being your lieutenant governor as well. I've had the great privilege of serving with 2 governors, as you know, both Sonny Perdue and Nathan Deal. I know the complexity of navigating through difficult public policy issues, but I also know how to negotiate through the economic development as well. But my close really is a personal close, and that is 25% of our kids today live in poverty. We have 40 counties that have 40+% poverty rates that exist. That is unacceptable in a state our size and a state in which has this much prosperity. And the reason I talk about it, and the reason that you see around my initiatives, is because I want economic prosperity where no one is left behind. And I believe that we can provide that. And the reason I believe it, and the reason that I'm passionate about it, is because I understand it. You see, my dad left my mom when I was 3 years old. Those early years were spent in a little single-wide trailer with my mom. I remember vividly walking in and seeing her kneeling by her bed and saying her prayers, asking for God's provision. My mom didn't just teach me the value of faith. She taught me the value of hard work as well, because she worked 2 jobs to make ends meet. She never took a dime of public assistance. You see, what she was determined to do is to ensure that we were never going to stay trapped in the set of circumstances that we were in. Growing up without a safety net makes you get up early and work hard. And I will tell you, this state has given me so much from a personal family's perspective, but also business and public service. I am humbled by it. I am not running against one individual for governor. I'm not running for a job, and I'm not running for a title. I'm running to make a difference. Thank you all very, very much, and God bless you.
Thank you.